Welcome back to the deep dive. So, we often tackle, big geopolitical things or AI breakthroughs,
Hmm.
but sometimes maybe the really interesting stuff is hiding in plain sight.
Right. Today we're actually looking at a stack of research on something that sounds, well, pretty simple. Bluey coloring pages.
Yeah, and our mission here isn't just like talking about coloring for fun.
Okay.
It's really digging into these sources to see how this specific activity, using the Bluey world, acts as a surprisingly efficient tool for um, optimizing brain function.
Optimizing. How so?
Specifically, things like self-regulation, fine motor control, and even task completion. We're sort of reframing a pastime into a skill-building exercise.
Okay, that's the hook. So skipping the obvious, it's fun part and getting straight to the high value claims. I mean, the immediate appeal. The sources say it's a delightful experience, immerses you in this vibrant world.
Totally.
But why Bluey? Why does this universe work so well for this kind of focused play? Well, I think it's because the show itself is just fundamentally about, emotional honesty. It's relatable.
Mhm.
So when you're coloring these pages, you're doing this kind of low stakes emotional expression. The sources really emphasize this.
How does that work? Choosing colors.
Exactly. You're not just filling space. You might be picking colors that reflect maybe your mood right then or the little story you see on the page.
Ah, okay.
And that quick link, that feedback loop between an inner feeling and an outer creative act, that's actually incredibly valuable developmentally.
So it's like a nonverbal dialogue. Interesting. So rather than just listing the characters Bluey, Bingo, Bandit, Chilli, the gang everyone loves,
Right.
let's think about their design utility. Why are these characters such good subjects for developmental coloring?
Okay, yeah. It's because the show's visual style is just perfectly tuned for learning. You've got Bluey's like vibrant blue fur. Bingo's look, they're defined by really simple, clean lines.
Right, very clear shapes.
And those bright, saturated colors, that simplicity, it really helps with recognition, builds confidence in you younger kids trying to color them.
Okay.
And then Bandit and Chilli, the parents, they add a bit more complexity maybe through their poses, their expressions. That can actually spark conversations about what's happening in the scene.
So the design itself kind of lowers the barrier to entry while maximizing that emotional hook.
Yeah,
It makes the coloring easier to start.
definitely.
Precisely. And the sources mention this again and again.
Mm-hmm.
The social aspect is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
The pages often show scenarios.
Right.
Playing keepy-uppy, going to the park,
Yeah, familiar scenes.
which makes it a natural chance to sort of bond over the coloring,
Yeah.
share your artistic ideas, whether you're doing it alone or side by side with someone. It turns into this shared story.
Okay, so here's where we pivot from fun to function. Let's talk about the hard data, the so what insight.
The sources list out these, numerous measurable developmental benefits. This is where it gets really deep, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's far from just passive play. We can basically boil down the sources into, say, 5 key areas of gain. First up, physical stuff.
Mhm.
Fine motor skills and coordination. Okay, but how is holding a crayon different from holding any other toy? Do the sources get specific about the type of precision needed?
Oh, absolutely. The research points to the sustained, controlled pressure you need to apply color, especially if the goal is staying within the lines. That controlled movement is a really crucial precursor to learning how to write. It's not just grabbing, it's learning to control that pressure, developing that tripod grasp you need for a pen.
Right, the pincer movement.
Exactly. And it specifically boosts hand-eye coordination. You're training the eye to see the boundary in the hand to respond, to stop before crossing it. So it's detailed muscle training hidden inside drawing a cartoon dog. Okay. Benefit number 2, creativity and imagination. Seems obvious, maybe.
But what's unique about coloring compared to, say, just drawing freely on blank paper?
Well, coloring provides this really helpful structure. Free drawing can actually be a bit intimidating for some kids.
True. Blank page pressure.
Right. But coloring pages give you the framework. And within that framework, you have total freedom with the palette. The sources found this structure plus freedom combo is a huge spark for imagination.
Ah.
It lets kids express creativity without the stress of having to draw the whole thing from scratch. They want to make Bluey purple? Go for it. Give Bingo rainbow spots. Fantastic. It's pure expression. And the third one, promoting focus and concentration. In today's world, that feels like a superpower. How does coloring a Bluey page help build those attention muscles? It teaches task completion. Think about it. A typical coloring page takes a decent amount of sustained, uninterrupted attention to finish properly.
Yeah, it's not instant gratification.
Exactly. The child sits down, commits to the process. That sustained focus is such a vital skill, learning to tune out distractions, keep your attention on the details, and work towards a clear endpoint, finishing the page. And that focus ties right into the fourth benefit, which sounds maybe the most complex. Self-regulation. Choosing colors, managing materials. How does that translate to self-regulation?
This is really key. Self-regulation is basically about inhibiting impulses, right?
Okay.
So, for example, the sources mention like choosing to use a thin, maybe trickier colored pencil for a tiny detail on Bingo's shirt.
Instead of just grabbing the big fat marker.
Exactly. Instead of impulsively grabbing the easier tool, that's a tiny lesson in controlled material use. It's making deliberate choices, managing your resources, the crayon box, and even handling small frustrations like a crayon breaking.
All of that is essential practice for developing executive function. Wow, okay. And the payoff, the fifth point, confidence and social skills. Once the picture's done, how does that confidence boost actually happen? It's the tangible proof of their effort. You have a finished product, right, a completed piece of art, and it's highly shareable.
Something to show off.
Totally. Sharing that artwork, showing it to friends, family, that gives immediate positive feedback. And that shared accomplishment, it really boosts confidence. Plus, it fosters social skills when they talk about why they chose certain colors or details. It's a pretty robust learning framework, all built on fun.
That is impressive. Okay, so let's shift from the theory to practical application. How can we sort of level up this activity? I'm feeling inspired to print some pages now.
Yeah.
But what practical steps do the sources actually recommend to, optimize the experience itself?
Yeah, the sources have some great practical necks. First, just the printing logistics. Don't just hit print randomly. You need to find a reliable source online that offers really high-quality images. Clear lines are key.
Okay.
And then, when you've picked your designs, actually tweak your printer settings. Go for maximum quality. Especially make sure the black ink is set as dark and saturated as possible.
Ah, good point. And I remember reading something about the paper itself.
Yes. Crucial takeaway. Standard paper's fine, sure. But the sources highly recommend printing on thicker paper.
The cardstock.
Yeah, cardstock, or maybe a heavier matte photo paper. Why? Because thicker paper just handles markers and pencils way better.
Prevents the bleed through, the buckle.
Partly, it just makes the final artwork look and feel much higher quality. And then you can staple those sturdy pages together and boom, you've got a durable, custom Bluey coloring book.
Nice. Okay, so canvas is ready. What about the coloring techniques? The sources mentioned making it even more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're getting into real artistry here.
Well, yeah, kind of. First step is just experimenting with different tools. Don't just stick to crayons if you have markers or pencils, too. See what works best for different areas. But the real artistry, like you said, comes with blending colors. The sources suggest a really accessible technique for this.
Okay, what is it?
Layer the lighter shades first, kind of like a base coat. Then build up by adding the darker tones on top. That creates shadows, depth. It mimics what pro illustrators do.
Okay, so that really elevates it from just filling in shapes to actual skill development. Changes the whole output.
It really does. And, it raises an interesting point about rules. We always hear stay inside the lines.
Yeah. But the sources actually encourage the opposite sometimes. Don't be afraid to step outside the lines. Really.
Yeah. Adding your own personal flair, maybe drawing a swirly background, adding some stickers that makes the artwork genuinely pop and reinforces that creative ownership we talked about.
Creative rebellion. That links back perfectly to self-regulation, deciding how to engage with the structure.
Okay, and you can also think about context, right? Adding a background.
Totally. Create a themed background. If Bluey's outside, maybe add some trees or grass. If they're inside, draw the pattern on the couch. Turns a single drawing into a whole scene. And always remember that social bit. Coloring with friends or family, it just introduces new ideas, maybe techniques you hadn't thought of, sparks inspiration.
Right. Okay, before we wrap this up, let's quickly cover some key questions the sources address. Some quick clarifications for anyone listening. First, suitability, is it really for everyone? Yep, sources are clear. Suitable for all age groups. The designs just have broad appeal. Perfect for family time where older kids, parents, even grandparents can join in.
And honestly, they're pretty relaxing for adults, too. Low stakes, calming.
Okay. And materials, we know standard stuff works, but why did the designs work so well with just basic crayons and markers? Ugh, good framing. It's the design itself. High-quality Bluey pages usually have lines thick enough to work well with those standard, broader crayons or fat markers that little kids use.
So it avoids the frustration of, like, trying to fill a big space with a tiny pencil tip.
Exactly. It means the stuff you probably already have is actually the best fit for maximizing that motor skill development we discussed. Less frustration, more fun.
Got it. And sharing online. People love sharing kids' artwork. What's the catch?
Well, the possibility is there, obviously, but you have to be really careful about copyright.
Ah, right.
It's essential to give clear credit to whoever made the original page and check if they have any specific rules about sharing stuff made from their work. Basically, treat fan art respectfully.
Makes sense. And finally, if someone gets really into this and finishes their first batch, where can they find more pages or maybe some tutorials?
Best bets are popular kids' activity websites. Sometimes online marketplaces have authorized bundles. Fan sites, obviously. Social media is great for seeing what others are doing.
And for leveling up skills.
Yeah, for the blending techniques and stuff. Sources mention guided video tutorials on places like YouTube. Just searching Bluey coloring tutorials should bring up specific guides.
You know, what's really fascinating here is just how, well, robust this simple activity is when you look at it this way. We started with just the charm of Bluey, and we ended up linking it directly to creative expression and these measurable, vital developmental gains, fine motor skills, focus, that complex self-regulation.
Yeah, we've sort of elevated the whole conversation about play, haven't we? Showing that the simplicity of the coloring page isn't just simple, it's actually a sophisticated design choice aimed at maximizing those neurological benefits.
So what does this all mean for you listening? It means the next time you, or maybe a kid in your life, needs a break that's actually productive and engaging.
Grab those crayons.
Yeah, grab the crayons, print on that thicker paper we talked about, and just dive into this creative adventure that's, well, genuinely backed by some real developmental utility.
And maybe here's a final thought for you to mull over. If this simple, low-stakes act of choosing colors, finishing a page, encourages focus and self-regulation so effectively in kids, what's an analogous, simple, tactile, creative task you could build into your own life? Just say 10 minutes. Something you can use to get that same kind of reliable boost in adult concentration and self-management. Think about that feeling of completion and how easily you might be able to replicate it.
A low-stakes win to boost high-stakes focus. Definitely food for thought. See you next time for the next deep dive.